Hi, my name is Ann Patchett, and I'm the author of State of Wonder. The book is about Marina Singh, who is a pharmacologist working in Minnesota, and she is sent to the Amazon to find out what happened to her partner, Dr. Eckman, who has disappeared in the Amazon, and also to find Dr. Annick Swenson, who is developing a very lucrative, important drug for the company, which will ensure everlasting fertility for women. The thing that really inspired me to write this book is that I wanted to tell a story about a teacher and a student who haven't seen each other in 20 years, in which the student does everything she can to mold her life to please the teacher, and the teacher, who's had thousands of students, doesn't remember her at all. When I was working on this book, I went to the Amazon to do research, and I had a really amazing time because for the first 3 days I thought it was the most gorgeous, mythical, magical place I'd ever seen, and by the end of the 10th day I think I would have sold my soul to get out of there. It was so overwhelming, claustrophobic, buggy, snake-laden, hot. And you can't go anywhere, you know, there are just trees everywhere you look. So it was interesting. I went from loving it to having it completely rattle my nerves, and I think that that's a journey that the characters wind up taking as well. Certainly I was influenced by The Heart of Darkness when I was working on this book, but actually not until I was about halfway through. When I first started, I was thinking a lot about Henry James' The Ambassadors, Evelyn Waugh's Handful of Dust, the Orpheus myth, and certainly more than anything the films of Werner Herzog. Algar, The Wrath of God, and Fitzcarraldo especially were incredibly influential, and I watched them over and over again because Herzog's images of the Amazon, that's the Amazon I always saw in my head. When you write a book, you realize that a lot of people are going to be reading it in groups, and you have the opportunity to set forth certain issues that people will discuss. And there were a lot of things that I wanted people to think about. Questions of fertility and medical ethics and the role of women in science. I don't have answers for any of those questions, but I put the questions out there. So what I would hope a reader would do would be just to think about different issues, not to be merely entertained, but to be sort of stirred up by this book. That would be my best case scenario. There are two characters in this book, Jack and Barbara Bovender, and they live in Manaus, and they are beautiful Australian bohemians who are traveling around the world, and presently they are taking care of Dr. Swenson's apartment in Manaus. The way these characters came to me is kind of an amazing story, which is I am on the board of my library in Nashville, Tennessee, and when we were having our big fundraiser, the auction item that I volunteered was that you could buy the right to have a character named after you in my book. And the people who bought the right were Jack and Barbara Bovender. And they're people that I know and really love, and I wanted to make them absolutely the most fantastical, beautiful, carefree people because they're really very serious people. They're also short, and I wanted them to be very, very tall in the book. And I love that that's where these characters came from because I never would have put the Bovenders in the book. And even though I've known these people for years, it wasn't until they bought the auction item that I realized what astonishingly beautiful names they had. Barbara Bovender, I think must be the most beautiful name in the world. And I got my Australia information from Nashville's most famous citizen, Nicole Kidman.